Ever wondered what settings professional photographers change when buying a camera? In this video, I'll explain why you need to use these settings on all your cameras and how they can work for you. They're easy to set up and some of them will also save you from ruining a photo shoot. Later, I'll reveal one critical setting you must check before every shoot. And the number one setting I always change before touching anything else on a new camera is to set the camera to RAW shooting. So on your camera, you need to go to image quality, which I'm already at, and then I'm gonna take the camera off JPEG, and then I'm gonna put it to RAW and say save, and the camera is to RAW. Guys, shoot to RAW. You can do so much more. There's so much more data inside of a RAW photo file. The next thing I always make sure my camera is on is the white balance settings. So I'm gonna search for the white balance, go to white balance and set it to auto. Because I'm shooting RAW, I can change the white balance afterwards in my editing program, and it's just way more accurate than trying to do it during a shoot. So there's nothing more annoying like your camera hanging next to you and you touch the LCD by accident and it takes a photo. You get home, download your images, start editing, and you see 100, 150 photos just randomly off the ground or people behind you, whatever, because the camera took a photo when you touch the LCD. So the next thing is switch off that touch shutter, and I'll go to my menu quick, and there it is, touch shutter. Mine is disabled, so you can enable it if you want to take a photo by touching your LCD. I recommend switching it off. So LCD brightness is more important than you might think, and the reason I say that is that with LCD brightness during the day, you want the LCD to be quite bright. That said, during the evening, if it's too bright, your photos is going to end up being underexposed because you think the exposure is bright. Actually, it's not, because your eyes are adjusting for a dark room that you're shooting in. And the problem with that is that it will then show up very bright. So I would, in the evenings, drop the LCD brightness, and during daytime, I would make it a bit brighter. So let's have a look at LCD brightness. On my camera, it should be around here somewhere. There we go. So LCD brightness, I would put it in the middle of the day to 4, and then later during the evening, you can drop it down to 2 or 3. So one thing I really love doing, and it helps me to make my client relax, is to show them the photos on the back of my LCD. One problem, however, if you don't change the setting, is that the camera will show a portrait photo in landscape mode. Let me show you. If I click play here, so here you can see that the photo is in portrait mode but in a landscape form. But if you change the following setting and you go to auto rotate and you take it off the camera setting and only on PC, I'm going to show you the photo again. It's going to be sideways for you now, but now it shows the photo on the whole of the LCD, which is big, and you can just turn your camera and show it to your client. There's nothing more frustrating and distracting than putting your eye to the viewfinder of your camera and the LCD doesn't switch off. Now, every camera has a little sensor underneath the viewfinder that when you put your face to the viewfinder, the LCD switch off, but you have to toggle it. So let's go to the settings, go to screen and viewfinder display and switch it to auto switching. So there's one more reason why the setting is very important, and you can imagine that when you put your eye to the viewfinder and the LCD switches off, or you take your eye away from the viewfinder and the LCD goes on, it means that only one screen works at a time, saving you battery life. So in the beginning of the video, we spoke about shooting in RAW, and the big reason for that is that it can save you. You're busy editing the photos and suddenly you realize that a whole batch you've under or overexposed by a stop or two. And because you shot in RAW, you can save the photo with editing software. There's a second setting, however, that you need to change that goes hand in hand with RAW. Imagine you're doing your first paid shoot, or you've been at it for a while and you do this big shoot for a company, and you get home, you put the memory card on the computer and it fails. Gives an error and the photos are lost. What do? So here's the setting that you have to change, guys. Shoot to 2 memory cards. On your menu, go to record function card go to the camera setting and say record separately. This will give you peace of mind at every single shoot because you will walk away from that shoot with a backup in your pocket already. So let's get into the deep stuff, focusing, and it's so important. But later on, I will also show you one setting I changed on my mirrorless camera that was life-changing, and I'm not over-exaggerating. For me, it was incredible. So the setting you need to put your camera on is continuous focus. Canon calls it AI servo, I think Nikon calls it continuous servo, and Sony calls it continuous AF. On my camera, if I go to AF operations, you can choose between one shot and servo. I always have it on servo. So the reason I shoot a continuous focus all the time is that the focusing systems on cameras these days are just brilliant. And I know if I lock onto a face or a body and people are moving and I shoot, for instance, at a very wide aperture like 1.4, I will not miss the shot because the camera keeps on searching for focus points and I know I'll nail it every single time. So I just told you that I have a life-changing setting that I use with regards to continuous focus. I've got another camera here and I want to show you that you see this little button with the star. I programmed that button that when I press it with my thumb, the focus jumps to my subject's eye. So it activates eye focusing. So you can imagine every single time I put my thumb on that button, it hops to the person's eye and nails the focus. Let me show you how I changed it. So in my menu, I go all the way to the back and go to, where is it now? There we go. Custom buttons. And you go on that custom button at the bottom and you set it to eye focus. This will help you to go quickly to eye focus if your camera have that setting and nail the focus on the eyes all the time. Have you ever started editing a big shoot and you use two cameras, maybe one with an 85mm, one with a 24-70 on it, but when you look at the photos, they are not next to each other. Some of the photos are way at the back of the shoot and some of the beginning of the shoot. Well, there's a simple setting you have to change, but make sure to do it with every shoot because cameras does lose time, and that is your date and time setting. Go to your menu, search for date time zone, change the time and make sure your second camera body has exactly the same time. It will save you so much editing time. So with these camera settings dialed in, make sure to watch this video to find out why pro photographers' photos look better than yours.